He's like, crush this up, and when you're done hitting gaggers or hitting lines, go ahead and snort this. And I'll never forget that as long as I live, bro. He looked at me, he pointed both fingers, and he did, call me in the morning. Bro, I hit them things, and I went from geeking out the window, thinking people were out there, turning the lights off, to...
Bitch, your phone ain't even on yet. You know what I mean? Bitch, you can't even call your mom and cry.
What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So I got a special guest for you guys today, another in-person interview, and I wanted to bring this gentleman on because he's been through a lot in his life. Addiction to going to jail to losing family members. Enough about me telling you about his story. For the people that don't know who you are, man, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself, tell them your name and where you're...
Cool, my name's Adam. I'm born and raised in Southwest Florida and recently moved to Athens, Georgia.
All right. So tell the people a little bit about, what were some of the things you went through growing up as a young kid?
Oh, man, it started real early. Started with abandonment, My mom actually left me at a Salvation Army in Lakeland, Florida, not too far from here when I was 2 years old. It was 1986. The crack epidemic had really started destroying America as we know it, and she had to make some decisions, and that decision was to put me in a safe place. They drop you off, it's going to be okay kind of place.
Not really.
It actually fucked me up in the membrane for forever and still does today. Like, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say I wasn't dealing with abandonment issues. And then it led to addiction. I actually got to find my brother inside of one of the old trap houses that we used to work at.
Well, let me stop you right there. So people, it seems like, bro, everybody that I interview, everybody that, tells their story on my channel, it either all started when they were really young, losing a parent, not having parents, not having, security that a normal person that has a mom and a dad has. So where's your dad at in this picture?
Like present moment?
Like Salvation Army drop-off moment.
She hauled ass out of Fort Myers. I'm from Fort Myers. Big shout out to 239 on this one. He was in Fort Myers at the time, and they had words or whatever. I only get one side of the family story, and typically people are not going to tell you what really had happened was. So the information that I gathered from one side of my family is that they weren't getting along. She wanted to go out and do what she needed to do. They were super young. They were like 19 and 23 years old. That's fairly young to have children. And he was like, let's chill and slow down. I mean, dad was still slinging back in them days, but mom was like, let's go party, and dad was more like, let's make money. And the money versus the partying, and she ended up hauling ass. She got with her new boyfriend, and they were bending corners, made it from Fort Myers to Lakeland, and I guess I was screaming, I was crying. There was a bunch of just 2-year-old being 2 years old. And he basically looked at old girl and was like, look, it's me or the kid. And her addiction left it to, let's continue to party. I think she did that because she went through a bunch of shit as a person. I actually got to speak to her on the phone about 20 years later, and she relinquished some information, and she went through some torturing and stuff herself, and she didn't want me to live the lifestyle she did. So it was somewhere between fear and let's smoke rocks.
Yeah, so my story, man, is identical to yours. So my mom chose addiction over me. My dad died. And you just made a comment about, like, she's still doing her thing with addiction.
Right.
And hopefully that time comes and she can change. But with me, man, I know that time will never come with my mom. And for people that don't know, losing a parent is a very traumatic event in your life, especially at a young age.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think that had anything to do with, like, now you're 14, 15, 16, 17, all this shit happened to you? Where's your life headed at that point?
I mean, by 14, I was all the way out there already. They had the Alltel unlimited cell phones and the pager you could get for like $200 for the year. And I remember like 6th or 7th grade, I believe it was 6th grade, somebody showed me what a bag of weed was. And at the time, I'm slinging bubble gum and Pop Rocks and all this other stuff.
Pixie
and they're like,
sticks,
whatever,
for $1.
50 cent on the dollar, or give me $1, right? Some petty shit.
So the hustler mind state was in you from a young age.
Yes, off rip. Yeah, we were hustling everything. But then somebody in 6th grade showed me a bag of weed, just some regular, some Reggie, some middies, some whatever.
Swag.
Some swag, right? Stems and seeds. And he showed me this bag, dude, and I looked at it, and he's like, that's $40. And here I'm slinging, like, I got to go to the dollar store every day to re-up on bubble gum, and this is $40? Like, what's
your number?
On? Right. Like, what's really going on? So,
Yeah.
like, it enticed me, dude. The streets, like, instantly enticed me. But they also embraced me. So, like, the OGs showed me a bunch of love. You know, I went so long with not getting any love. My grandma did a really good job of raising me. But my dad was still all the way out there in them streets, man. You know, you go from being the man with the master plan to being just some old
a nobody.
dude. Yeah, man, because your addiction takes place.
Yeah.
And then you don't get high on your own supply is the number one rule, right? But not too many people abide by that rule.
Nah, bro.
So he started jumping on the pills and the this and the that, and then, you know, still the rock cocaine came into place.
And at a time in Florida when opiates were like, you could go to a doctor and say, hey, man, you know, I hurt my back. All right, here's 180 Oxycontins.
Yeah. I actually got introduced to the pills as a way to come down off the cocaine. So I had graduated from weed at 14, 15 years old into the real good raw, into the powdered cocaine because the prices were so cheap. Yeah, man. I mean, it was like $600, $800 an ounce, depending on who you knew at the time.
Yeah.
And then one day my boy's like, you ever tried blues? And I'm sitting here like, what is a blue? And he's like, I tell you what, bro, here's a couple on the house. After you get done sniffing tonight.
He just bought you is what he did.
Yeah, he did, and I didn't even know it at the time, right?
Yeah.
He's like, crush this up, and when you're done hitting gaggers or hitting lines, go ahead and snort this and call me in the morning. And I'll never forget that as long as I live, bro. He looked at me, he pointed both fingers, and he did, call me in the morning. Right? Bro, I hit them things, and I went from geeking out the window, thinking people were out there turning the lights off, to like eating cereal and ice cream and shit. It was like craziness. I had never experienced anything like it before.
Even you completely out.
Yeah, dude, like that, dude. It was unreal. It was like the greatest thing ever. I thought cocaine was the greatest thing ever, but then I got introduced to them pills as a way to come down.
But now you're on two different drugs, though, which are both like the most powerful drugs you can do.
Yeah, for sure.
Where did your addiction, once you fell in love with the blues? So obviously what that means for the people that don't know, that's basically synthetic heroin.
Yeah.
With like a little bit of filler in
Pharmaceutical
it.
grade, right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That night, was that when the seed of addiction was planted in your head to where you were like, this is something I could do for the rest of my life?
Yeah, for sure. Like it actually made me wean off the cocaine. So I thought,
so you justified it.
Yeah, I justified it. Oh, I'm not.
We're so good at that.
I'm not sniffing a quarter of Vic every weekend now. I'm down to like 1 gram and 5 blues at the time. You know, it was just a reintroduction to
a whole nother beast.
Yeah, dude, that just destroyed me. That's when shit really started going south, because I was slinging it, but I wasn't what I was doing. And then once I started sniffing pills, I mean, it started to wrap it.
And then
progressed.
your brother, you mentioned before you had a brother. So was he like your ride or die through all this?
Yeah, so it's not my biological brother. It's one of them ones like the door's always open. I actually lived with them for about 10 years. So I was a runaway at 13, 14, 15 because my dad was getting high, beating my ass.
Yeah.
And I would just run away from home because I'd rather sleep in the bushes of East Lee County, Florida than to go home and deal with that mess. So Robbie and his mom, they took me in.
Okay.
And it was just we're going to feed you. We're going to take care of you. It wasn't like the most lavish lifestyle ever.
But they were doing what your parents should have done.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So that immediately became your brother. Blood is, blood's thicker than water, they say. But
yeah,
that says a lot about his family and him to be able to do that, because most people would be like, he's a lost cause.
Right. Too far gone.
Yeah. So then was that when he decided to, was he already kind of on shit at that point, or did you guys really then blow up?
So I was living with him slinging the cocaine. Then we got introduced to the blues. So we started dabbling in the blues just a little bit. And then within a year or two, we didn't even want nothing to do with the cocaine. It was just give me as many pills as you could possibly get.
Did you ever get to heroin?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. I definitely graduated. So my baby mama's uncle was a narcotics officer. And I went to him. I'm like, Uncle, I got this problem. I think I need to go to rehab. And he says to me, you don't got a drug addiction issue. You got a spiritual issue. Because right now I'm doing 5 on the weekend or 6 on the weekend. I was a weekend warrior, they call it. And I go to Uncle, and Uncle's like, look, if you don't get off this shit, you're going to have a needle in your arm in less than a year. And I'm like, what? There's no way, dude. I got a good job. I'm still making good money. I'm selling AC and indoor air quality products. Your boy's balling out of control, making stupid money, right, for the age bracket.
Yeah.
And we were just partying. We were just having a great time. And then, dude, before you knew it, man, I got on that needle. I got introduced to it. Somebody crushed up a blue, hit me for the first time, and it never went back. So we started smoking them. So we put them on tinfoil and actually started smoking them.
I've heard of that. Never did it.
We learned that in a documentary. There's actually some documentary about this dude going into Florida rehabilitation centers. I forget what it's called, and he's smoking them on tinfoil, and I'm watching.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, man, I was watching.
Out in Cali?
No, it was Florida. It was Florida based.
Okay.
And I'm watching them, and I'm like, damn, dog, I can smoke them things? I got to try that shit. And then I started smoking them, and then I never snorted them. Then I picked up the needle a short time later.
Game over.
Game over, bro. Then anything I could put in the spoon, man. I mean, if I could fit anything in the spoon, I put a Subutex, one of them purple jellies in the spoon, even when shit was ugly. And I'm like...
You were a garbage disposal at
yeah,
that
bro.
point.
And then I did it, and I'm like, oh, fuck, bro. Am I going to die? Because, like, it gels
You think
back
that
up.
after it's done. That's the crazy part.
After, right.
So, all right, now you're banging pretty much, everything you can.
Yeah, dilaudid cocaine.
Okay.
Any-
So you can't live that life and not get introduced to law enforcement. So how long was it after you started banging shit that you ended up catching a charge?
A long time.
How long?
Oh, man, from the first time I shot dope to the first time I caught a case, 6-7 years.
Jeez.
I had spent
If I do some dope tonight, go check booking tomorrow because my picture will be there.
I spent so long in them streets, and them OGs taught me how to be slick, right? Now, some of them got knocked, and some of them beat some cases, and some of them got sent to prison. But I learned from them on how to be slick, so we would maneuver real crazy, right? Like, we just knew certain ways and certain things that we could
Sliding
do.
and gliding.
Yeah, man, slick as owl shit, bro.
Yeah.
So it was 6 or 7 years, actually, before I caught the case.
So what happened with that?
So we're in my homeboy's car, and I just got my paycheck. I'm still doing air conditioning at the time. We're in East Fort Myers, and we're bobbing and weaving through traffic. And I'm looking in the rear view. I'm like, bro, you got to slow down. You've got to quit bobbing and weaving through traffic. And he's like, oh, we're good, bro. We're good, bro. We're good. Well, I had just shot 2 bags, right?
So you're real good.
Super faded, right? And I threw the spoon out the window because I had a bunch of shit to do. You can get a bottle cap of anything underneath side of an aluminum can, whatever you're using.
Mud puddle water, I've seen.
Man, yeah, apple juice, whatever we got, right?
Yeah.
And so what had happened is he was bobbing and weaving. Boom, they lit us up in East Fort Myers. And the first thing I could think, dog, I just looked up and I'm like, fuck, bro, I'm going to jail. So I was riding shotgun.
Never been to jail before.
I had just got off probation for discharging a firearm into an occupied. Somebody had just came.
But
out
I'm
the house.
talking like you never
Drugs.
did like a 30-day, 60-day.
Nah, I bonded out immediately on that first charge. So this is the first stint.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you get arrested.
I get arrested. They find a bunch of Suboxone on me. I was too high. I swallowed the empty bags instead of the full bags. And
So you were the guy in the car that said, hey, you got something, give it all to me, I'm going to take it.
Right. Yeah.
My man.
Yeah, but I took the wrong shit. I left the full bags on the floor. So the cop comes up to the window, boom, yanks me out of the car, throws me in the back seat. And now I'm really knowing that I'm fucked. Like,
yeah, you're tripping.
Yeah, man, I was just stuck, dude. Like, it was probably like the worst experience. Looking back now, it was probably a really good experience that I went through it because I want to be where I'm at today. But in the moment, dude, I was just like, fuck, bro, I'm going to jail, man. Ain't nobody coming to get me. I already knew it.
Yeah, so when you walked into jail, like, what was your first impressions? Now, I mean, hold on. How long did you stay on that charge in jail that time?
I did 69 days and copped out to a bunch of contingencies, a bunch of paper, a bunch of bullshit.
Right. All right, so you're walking into jail for the first time, and for people that don't know, the first time's always the hardest. You don't know the lingo. You don't know the G code.
I'm detoxing off dope. I'm hallucinating.
Yeah, they're probably like, we're getting his trays for a couple days.
Yeah. So we traded for some stuff. For
I know. So, I mean, how did that go for you? What jail were you in?
Lee County Jail in Southwest Florida.
All right, so what's that jail like? Like, is there gangs? What happened when you walked in the dorm?
It wasn't too horrible, right? So I'm not like the smallest dude on the block. So that's always
you're like,
been.
What, 6'3"?
I'm 6'4", 260.
Yeah,
so
try them if you want to.
Yeah, come get you some. But at the time, I'm strung out. I'm like 2 1/4, right? So I've always been like the bigger dude. But what had happened was, when we were bobbing and weaving through traffic, I was actually on the way to go get my hair braided. So I used to have rows, right? Because I would get my hair
I'm going to
rode.
put that in for them to see.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to check that out. Yeah. So we pulled out my braids. So I'm coming off the dope, dude. I'm not sleeping. I'm gagging like crazy because I'm not a barfer.
Crazy.
And then my hair's out to here, bro. Like, I got a pillow on my pillow when I'm laying down on my bunk. So they give me my mat. I was just walking in, getting my bunk. I'm detoxing and withdrawing off Mexican tar at the time, which I actually later learned is packed full of a bunch of shit.
Fentanyl.
Yeah, it was just straight garbage, bro. Like, just the stuff inside of you, like, you're literally, the toxins inside of it are astronomical compared
can literally smell the shit coming out of you.
Yes.
That is like, if you haven't smelt that before,
right,
it's one like,
you'll never forget it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It's like a dead body.
Yeah. So they give me my bunk, they give me my mat, they give me the things that I had. I was indigent status, which means you don't have a damn thing. Nobody's putting no money. Or indigent.
Yeah, yeah.
I was indigent status.
Did you try to call anyone?
I did. I actually tried to call as many people as I possibly could, and nobody came to save me. I remember.
So that's a message that is big right there, because a lot of people have 10 homeboys on the street. Man, we ride or die. We real to the fullest. Da 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 da.
And they're all full of
Let
shit.
a bitch go to jail. Then you really find out who's real, and you witness that firsthand.
Yeah.
So what I mean even if you've done dirt on the street or whatever the case is, I think a lot of people don't realize that addiction, you can't explain it to a normal person. They'll never understand it. Like even some addicts never get it. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
That is the shame and the guilt you're feeling now that you're sitting in jail, and you got nobody to call you because of your addiction. So like, how did you deal with that mentally? Like, because that's a lot of shit to deal with, especially being in jail on your first bid.
Yeah, so real quick about the phone calls. I called everybody, nobody would answer. I was feeling so bad, I was feeling so shitty from the detox off of the heroin that I started choking myself out. So I would hyperventilate myself.
Just to get sleep?
And then I would strangle myself. No, because I thought I was dreaming, dog. Like, I didn't believe where I was at. I didn't believe that Adam put Adam where he should be.
You were in psychosis.
I was in deep psychosis. It was crazy. So I hyperventilated. I choked myself out so many times I stopped remembering phone numbers, because you cut the oxygen off to your brain and your thinker don't think no more, right? So then they put me in the dorm.
GP at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
General Pop. And then they give me a mat. Well, bro, in Lee County Jail, they love to spray and tase. They love to spray and tase. They don't ask no questions. If you're bucking, they're going to spray you, then they're going to tase you, then you're going to solitary. I didn't know this at the time. My mat had been sprayed. The dude that was on my mat had got sprayed the day before the mat came to me.
Sprayed as in what?
Maced.
Oh,
so there's oil-based mace on my mat. So I'm trying to lay down, detoxing from heroin, and the shit's burning my eyes. I'm like all freaking out, like I don't even know what to do. So bro, honestly, man, I never had a relationship with something bigger than us. We typically call that God, right? I just looked up, I'll never forget it, and I'm like, if you ever get me out of this, I promise you I'm gonna do something with myself.
And you meant that shit.
I did. It's the first time I ever was authentic in prayer, ever.
Yeah.
And I said, if you ever get me out of this, I promise you, man, I'm gonna do something with this. I don't know what that means, bro, but you get me out of this and I'm gonna turn my life around.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
So, well, after that, you're still in jail, though.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what were some of the things like you saw go on as far as like gangs, politics, rules, regulations? Like, was it a jail set up like that?
It wasn't too bad, to be honest with you. I mean, there was definitely a lot of gambling and stuff. I definitely brushed up on my sign language. I mastered I mastered A through Z while I was there, just because we were bored as shit, right?
Yeah.
Let me get a honey bun, dog. Let me get a honey bun. But
shoot it.
Yeah, but and then like people cheeking bus bars or boost bars.
Yeah, from the med lady.
Yeah, man. And then
they be selling everything.
Yeah, bro. And then like dudes gunning when the nurse came and stuff. I mean,
so you had that shit going on. So for the people that don't know, in jail now, it's in jail. On the jail I go to, they won't even let the med lady come into the dorm. They have a separate window she's at, because the dudes would go in the shower and gun her down. Right. And if you don't know what that means when a man whips out his and gets too busy and goes to town on the nurse handing out medications to other people. So if you're in the dorm and that shit's going on, that's not too laid back. You get me?
I guess, bro, but I came from such craziness out there. I mean, there was even this dude, they named him Peter Hawk. So his bunk was all the way across from the showers. And the showers,
shark gazer?
Yeah, and he was on the second floor. Showers are on the second floor, the 2-story dorm.
Yeah.
And every time the showers would get loaded up, old Peter Hawk, he'd be walking to his bed, and then he would do the Cleopatra on the side of his bed. So he'd be like
laid back in the Maybach.
Yeah, be hawking all them Peters on dudes in the shower.
Bro, I smacked a dude in prison over that, because it was the same way. They wait till like all of us would work out, go in the shower, and this dude's never been on the phone. Right. Now he's like trying to leaning around the corner looking. Bro, there's some crazy shit that goes on in jail. So let me ask you this, man. You came from a rough life. Yeah. You've been through a lot. Now you're in jail. when you were in jail, you know, gunning, when you saw that for the first time, that had to be like, did you even know that that existed?
I didn't know that exactly existed, but man, I used to be in like spots to where, you know, chicks were selling themselves. Like we were just doing, like
shit.
chick with scabies trying to sell herself, and she's putting makeup on her, and then we got to jump out of the spot because dude's coming to the spot. I had seen some real crazy shit out there in them streets because I made it 7 years, right? I went out there, I was mobbing for 7 years, so it's nothing was like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy, and all the shit that I seen in the streets.
Yeah, well, you definitely got some crazy stories, man. I want to do a couple parts with you, obviously. Well, first I want, you know, this dude's been doing YouTube for a while. He's trying to grow his platform. If you fuck with me, man, fuck with him and go subscribe to his channel. Check out his videos. They're going to be getting better, so I think you guys will like it. Why don't you go ahead, Adam, and tell them how they can find you on YouTube.
Cool. You can find me at IFI Motivation. That's IFI Motivation. On YouTube, you can also type in hashtag this dude crazy. You can find me on anything social. Google me, TikTok me, anything at all under hashtag this dude crazy.
And this dude is crazy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this content. I had a couple requests to do some addiction type videos. He's got some more crazy stories, so we're definitely going to bring him back on. Let me know if you guys like in the comments these in-person interviews, the setup, whatever you guys like is what I'm going to bring to you. I appreciate all the support. If you haven't and you're new to the channel, on this channel I talk about prison, jail, crime, corruption, the whole 9 yards. So if you like that type of content, or you know somebody that does, man, do your boy a solid and hit that subscribe button. And with that, IFI Motivation and DOC TV, and we out. What'd you think?
I loved it.